Alrighty, folks, today is more of an advanced mental skill. We are going to be talking about visualization and how to begin. If you've never done it before, we are going to incorporate it into part of our pre-workout routine or ritual so that you can be more effective in your workouts. Let's get to it. Righty, so visualization, also known as mental imagery, is more than just picturing yourself doing an activity. It involves using all of your senses. It involves you seeing yourself doing the movement. It involves all the sounds associated with doing said movement. It involves any of your other senses that you can pull in, any of the tactile or physical touch cues that you have in the movement. Generally speaking, probably not going to be any tastes involved with the movement. However, if you find yourself, chewing gum when you work out a lot, perhaps that comes into play too. Now, once you have all your senses sort of locked in, you begin sort of rehearsing the movement with all of those things in the forefront or in your mind's eye. So, unlike simply imagining a scenario, you are creating a super vivid and almost 4D mental movie in your mind about the activity that you're doing from the first-person perspective. So let's say for this activity, let's just call it bench pressing, because I think this will be more helpful for some of your bigger compound lifts as opposed to, let's say, like a bicep curl, although that will be helpful too. So if you want to imagine this or use this technique for your heavy bench days, squat days, deadlift days, I feel like that will be the most applicable. So with all those things in mind, whenever you're using mental imagery or visualization, you're going to want to feel your muscles contracting in your mind. You're going to want to hear the sound of your breath, and you're going to want to note each repetition. Now, this may all sound funny and unnecessary. However, in bodybuilding, I think we're all big fans of repetitions, and research does show that athletes who engage in mental imagery or visualization actually activate the same neural pathways as if they were doing the task, which makes visualization a powerful tool for improving motor skills and building confidence. Practical application. So how do we incorporate this into our routine when I know we are all strapped for time anyways? The best way to build this into our routine is to incorporate it into a part of our routine that already exists. By pairing it with something that already exists, you increase the likelihood of this thing happening, this thing being visualization or mental imagery, and it makes it sort of an easier way to incorporate and sort of transition into utilizing the skill. So let's say you are already warming up. Find a quiet place in the gym, find a quiet place in your home. You can do this while you're putting on your shoes. You can do this separately. I recommend, at least at first, doing this skill by itself and not doing any sort of procedural or any other tasks along with it, just until we have it ingrained. Number one, first you're going to want to take a few deep breaths. You can close your eyes for this, and you can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Focus your attention on your breath. Everything begins with our attention. So once we get our attention onto our breath, then we can move on to some of the aspects of visualization. Step number two. So we are going to focus on a bench day. You can also do this for squatting, deadlifting, honestly, any other workouts. Just the big compound movements seem to be most applicable, seem to be, more complicated patterns of movement than other movements. So you want to visualize yourself setting up in the exercise. So for me, I would visualize both my feet being on the ground, butt on the bench, back on the bench. I would visualize myself rocking backwards and laying down. I would visualize the bar, my eyes being directly underneath the bar, and then I would visualize my hands and so on and so forth. You want to see yourself gripping the bar. You want to see yourself unracking the bar. You want to almost mimic some of the actions in your mind, the deep breath that you take in before you start your first repetition. And then you want to visualize yourself going through the eccentric portion of the movement, any sort of isometric hold at the bottom, and exploding out of that into the concentric part of the movement. During this, you want to imagine, visualize the tension in your muscle, the feel of the bar, the movement of your joints, and just generally the weight in your hands. Now, another tip for this is if you're training in the general strength range, anywhere in the sort of 3 to 5 repetition range, you can, in your mind, imagine the weight feeling lighter. So after you've gotten through that one repetition, I'd say do it about 10 more times, 5 to 10 repetitions, 3 to 5 repetitions in your mind over and over again. Start from the setup, go through the repetitions, sit back up, again, in your mind, and that should be enough mental imagery to get your mind's machinery locked in to the task that you're getting ready to engage in. So what's a practical tip here? You need to make visualization a ritual. You want to spend 2 to 5 minutes on your off days, on your training days, practicing the movements, and by incorporating this into our pre-workout routines or rituals, you will increase the likelihood that it will happen, and you will increase the likelihood that it will continue to offer performance benefits in the long term. Now remember, research does suggest that including mental imagery or visualization can improve the activity that you're doing. It can improve focus, it can reduce pre-lift anxiety, and to a smaller degree, it can probably improve strength by preparing your mind for the physical effort. So before your next session, pair visualization with your pre-workout warm-up routine. Imagine yourself going through 10 reps of whatever you're doing, squat, bench, dead, calf raise, whatever it is, and see if it helps you out. Give this a shot for a couple of weeks and leave me a comment if you already do this, or you think it's a good idea, or if you think it's a waste of time. I'd really like to hear from you. So if this tip helped you out, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next episode for another mental skill.